Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. If this is your first time joining, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. I don't know how many people we might have coming in this evening. I typically like to give about 5 minutes before I start the deal, but since I'm not able to actually book this deal for you, I think I'm just going to run through it real quick and then we'll go ahead and get started into a little discussion that I wanted to have about something that happened on a cruise ship. I think it originally happened back in March of this year, but it kind of just hit the news circuit because the women had to go to court, and so I think that we'll talk about that once I run through this deal. So let's go ahead and get started. If you are on, if you can hear me, can you give me a thumbs up in the chat? If you can hear me. If anyone is out there and if you can hear me, please let me know. All right. So, I'm hoping that we're good. Okay, so what we've got, this is a cruise to Alaska, and it is a 7-day cruise, and it's a round trip from Seattle, Washington to Juneau, Ketchikan, and Victoria. And it's actually a last minute deal because the cruise sails May 30th through June 6th, 2026. So, like next week. Or a little bit after that. So, you're going to be on the Norwegian Bliss in a guaranteed ocean view room. Now, that room can have an obstruction. You just kind of won't know until you get probably either until you get on the boat or maybe a few days before it actually sails. They will actually let you know your room number. But at this price, going to Alaska 7 days, not really finding much less. And I will tell you that the biggest portion of this $998 per person charge is port fees and taxes. It's like $399 in port fees and taxes. The cruise itself is super inexpensive. I mean, it's coming in like less than $500. So, yes, you're paying a lot more for the government, for the fees, the taxes. It definitely is expensive, but that puts you at $998 per person for two people in a guaranteed ocean view room. And again, that room could have an obstruction. It may not have an obstruction. It also includes free at sea, which is 150 minutes of high speed Wi-Fi per person. and a $50 credit towards every shore excursion. So you really can't beat that either. I would definitely say, price match and make sure that you're getting the best price when you're booking your excursions, because if it's a $50 credit, you never know if that is built in, if it's a really good deal. Another thing that I would say about bookings, excursions with the cruise line, you've got that added protection that if you are running late from that excursion, they're not going to leave you, right? They're going to make the proper arrangements to make sure that you're where you need to be. And so that is one of the good things about booking shore excursions through them, through cruise line companies in general, right? That's just kind of like a hard, fast rule that they have. That's like a guarantee that they have. We're not going to leave you. Has it happened? I have heard that it has happened before, but that is not typically how it happens. But, sometimes there are mistakes. So if you are interested in this, I would definitely say contact NCL. I have their number listed there in the description, or your local travel agent. Throw them some business, right? There's nothing wrong with doing that. I could actually book your flight and hotel if that is something that you need. I can also book local excursions for the port that you're visiting. And those things would be eligible for the Amazon e-gift card and also for the $5 give back campaign. So if you are interested in having me do that, those are something that I can do. But right now, I haven't finished my training with NCL for their system. I don't have my certification. So I can't sell this cruise, but it's still, to me, a good, legit deal. If you've been thinking about going to Alaska and you've got that last minute, hey, it's, holiday time and things like that. If you just got the time, and, again, I can definitely book that flight and hotel. So that's going to be, at destinationswithdion@gmail.com if you are interested in allowing me to do that. All right. So, let's go ahead and move on. If you check my description, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you are going to see a link. You will probably want, and that's going to link you to one of my videos that is actually on my channel. I didn't put a big description. I can't remember. I don't think I put a big description with that, but it is something, a video that I wanted to kind of go back to and talk about because of this experience for the picture that you see here. So I'll go ahead and get started and let you know what I experienced. So last year in May, I was on a solo cruise with Carnival Cruise Line on the Carnival Elation out of Jacksonville, Florida. You can go back and you can check. It's the one where I was, detained for a little bit because I forgot to take my body cam off before I went through screening. So I'd already had that, right? And then I go to my room and it just reeks of cigarette smoke. And so I asked one of the cabin stewards to come in. They smelled it and they said, okay, I do smell it. But just in case they can't find me on debarkation day, you'll want to contact guest services and let them know about this. And so that's what I did. I called, but it's embarkation day, right? It's busy. Guest services is busy. And, but I also knew that I may not even be able to stay in that room because I have high sensitivity to cigarette smoke and perfumes and things like that. I get really bad migraines. So I didn't even know if I'd be able to stay in that room, but I definitely wanted to let guest services know about the smoke smell, because you can get up to like a $500 fine for that. If you're charged with smoking in your cabin. And I did not want that. I did not need that, right? My day had already started out bad, and I did not need that in my life. So I went on down to guest services. And in the video that you'll see linked I'm just showing the general area, the actual, not the general, the actual area that I was in. And you'll see that I'm kind of panning through the crowd, and you'll see that I'm panning through the different areas. I'm kind of looking to the right where you can see the passengers, the lanes for Diamond Platinum, faster to the fun guests. And then you had the general lane for all other passengers. Sometimes even Platinum, people will be over there because sometimes they won't allow you to use your Platinum benefits, but Carnival's going to pretty much always let Diamond people use their benefits. They're the highest tier of customers, and so they typically do. Can you all hold on one second? I have a cat who is trying to get into my room, and I need to let him know Mommy is busy. Hold on one second. Mommy is busy. Okay. So where was I? Okay, so Diamond, they're going to get everything that they deserve, right? Everything that they've earned, they're going to get those privileges. So I went downstairs, and as I'm walking through the atrium, you have the atrium, and then you have the atrium bar, and then right across that atrium bar is where guest services is. It's a really tight area, especially on embarkation or debarkation or the night before, because people are in line, and then people are still trying to walk around the bar and get to where they need to be. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Okay. Yes, he is in here. I gave in. Sometimes you give in, right? Sometimes you don't have any choice but to give in. Okay. So I'm walking around, and I'm looking at the line, and I see that there is a person already being helped in the Diamond Platinum lane. And then I see that there is a gentleman behind him. And then I see a woman behind him. I thought that they were all, that they weren't together because they were literally standing behind each other in a perfect line. Okay. And then you had another employee who was on the other side of the, just of the little ropes that they put out, So she was on the other side of that. And then there was another employee as well. Now I watched as not the Diamond Platinum person lane, but the first, that next lane over. I watched as they called someone from the lane that I was looking to go into, and they pulled them over. So I knew that second person was overflow. So their main priority, I do believe, was overflow for Diamond Platinum, right? You had your first person who was strictly Diamond Platinum, fast and fun. Then you had your next employee who was overflow for Diamond Platinum and worked regular lane. And then you had someone else who was fully regular lane. I think that is exactly how it went. So I watched them pull one person over to them. So I knew that they were overflow. My only point of contention was a couple. It was a man. It was a very tall woman, and then a shorter man. And they were kind of looking around, so I couldn't tell if they were in the right lane. I knew that I was Platinum. I knew I was good. But they were the only ones. So I walked up to them, and I said, "Excuse me, ma'am and sir." I said, "Are you all in line for guest services?" And they said, "Oh, no, we're not." And so I said, "Okay, I'm going to just scoot around you and, get in line," right? So that's what I did. Well, then they walked away. And then I hear, "Excuse me, ma'am." And so I just heard that voice. So I kind of felt that she was talking to me because I just heard that voice, right? I just spoke to her. So I turned to my left, and she says, "The line starts back there." I'm an extremely observant person. I already knew that I was where I was supposed to be. But in that moment, anxiety crept in, right? I was worried, right? I'm looking over to the right, and I'm looking at all of these eyes staring at me, these angry faces in this line that did in fact go down, and then it went out the doors. You'll be able to see how that line shifts in the video that's included in my description. And I'm alone, right? I'm alone. And I've got all these angry faces looking at me, and I'm thinking, oh crap. You're probably about to get beat up Like, I seriously thought in that moment that I was going to get jumped because these people, that line was long, y'all. I don't know how long those people had been standing in that line, but the line was long and nobody looked happy, which if you are in line at guest services on embarkation day, it's because you have a problem. Nobody's going there because they're just hanging out, wanting to, to chill out with people and say, oh, it's just been such a wonderful experience. If you are in that line, there is something going on and you're already unhappy. And now you're faced with the fact that someone might have jumped in line in front of you. That cannot stand, right? That cannot stand. I cannot stand. So I'm going into my pocket, my left pocket. I don't know, the blue jean jumper, which you'll see, the blue jean jumper, and I'm pulling out my card, and I'm looking at that line as I turn to her and say, I'm platinum. And then I turn back around and I put it back in. But here's the thing. She gave me a very, very, very extremely weak sorry. That's what she did. That's what she did. That's what I got. You called me out. You accused me of being a line jumper, right? When you and I had already had a positive interaction because I'd already asked you if you were in line. You said no, right? And I knew exactly where I was supposed to be because I'm observant enough to know, watch the flow. So I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be, because if not, I'm going to ask someone. I don't have a problem with asking someone. Just like I didn't have a problem with asking her if her and her person were in line. I had no problem with doing that. That's manners. That's how you're raised. Right? So I had no issue with that. But all eyes on me, I did. I felt unsafe. So after I finished what I needed to do at guest services, I went back to my cabin. And I stayed at my cabin for the rest of the evening. And I can say that I never saw her again. And you know, I know that I would have recognized them had I just run into them, right? And typically when you see someone on a ship, you tend to run into those same people over and over. I never saw them again, but I think I know why I might not have. I'm not really 100% sure. But I was wearing my body cam that day. Remember that wonderful little body cam? I was wearing my body cam that day. Yes. And she saw it. She did. I think that's why I even got the little bit of a sorry that I did receive. But she saw it. She saw it. I don't know if she went back to her cabin, if she hid for the rest of the time so that I wouldn't run into her, so I wouldn't ask for her name, so I wouldn't, possibly confront her, which I'm not interested in doing because I'm on vacation. I work hard. I work a lot of jobs to be able to go on vacation. So I'm not there for the smoke. I'm just there for my vacation. So now let's talk about what happened on a different Carnival ship and how everything turned out or is turning out for the two involved. I want to introduce you all to Lisa and Tonya. They were both Carnival VIFP Diamond members. So they were at the top, right? Earned, I'm quite sure, earned status. It's the only way you can get it, that I know of, is to earn it. It very well could be that they might not have spent the same kind of money, but you're not more diamond than someone else. You might have had it longer, but you're not more diamond than anyone else, right? It's a fair, even playing field. So, Tonya is in line at guest services in the Diamond Lane. Lisa and her husband, they walk up, and I think Tonya's husband was there too. But Lisa and her husband walk up. Tonya turns around and tells them, you're in the wrong lane. Tells them that they're in the wrong lane, and then proceeds to read to them and say, this is for Diamond Platinum. So Lisa ignored her, right? And I guess Tonya's just still, talking. And then she's probably doing that Southern thing. You know that thing when you're talking to people. You know how we do? We get kind of,
overly comfortable and we'll be talking. And the next thing you know, we're touching somebody and we're, girl, that's a Southern thing. It doesn't make it right because you don't have the right to touch people if you don't know them and they've not given you permission and access. But you probably definitely shouldn't touch anyone else if you've just accused them of not only being a line jumper, but also being illiterate. You shouldn't. You should really leave people alone once you've done that. You should not continue. But Tonya touched Lisa's husband 3 times that we know of, according to the statement in the FBI report, So, and so Lisa put her arm up and didn't allow Tonya to keep touching her husband. Don't know why her husband didn't tell her to stop. It could be because maybe Tonya wouldn't have, received it properly, right? There's many reasons. He didn't have to say anything because she shouldn't have been talking to him, and she probably, 100% shouldn't have been touching him. So Lisa is blocking, right? Please stop touching my husband. I don't know what she said. I don't know if she said please, but it was she did say in the report, stop touching my husband. And Tonya said, I'll slap you. And Lisa said, well, if you do, you will get slapped back. And Tonya slapped her. And guess what? Tonya got slapped back. That, to me, sounds not, because a lot of content creators, a lot of people are posting about this, a lot of people have an opinion about it, and most people are saying it's a slap fest. It's mutual combat. People are just, hands to cuff. No, that's not it at all. Haven't seen video, but everything says that Tonya slapped Lisa first. So Lisa slapping Tonya back, that's self-defense. And if Lisa got the better end of Tonya, that's called you get what you get. Because we're all 3 of us ladies, me and the 2 here, are all Gen X. And Gen X, we were raised. Keep your hands to yourself. Don't start nothing, won't be nothing. Shout out James Brown. That's how we were raised. We were also raised, though, if someone touches you, you've got no choice but to touch them back. So, listen. These 2 ladies have gone to court. They have both pled guilty to their charges. I would not have pled. If I was Lisa, I would not have pled guilty to these charges. There's no way. I would start a GoFundMe campaign to earn money to get me from here to wherever I have to travel to fight these charges. I have not seen any video. But if it is exactly as Lisa has said in the report, she was a victim, not a willing participant, because she ignored this woman. She asked this woman to stop touching her husband, and she let her know, if you slap me, there will be consequences. And Tonya got herself some consequences. And now Lisa also has herself some consequences. And I would not have gotten to 52 years of age and end up with a federal charge because I'm on vacation. I won't do it. It wouldn't happen. It doesn't sound fair to me at all. At all. So I think the lesson, there is a lesson to be learned. The first thing is, if you feel like someone doesn't deserve to be in a lane that you're in, or like Tonya said, well, I've been embarrassed before because I was in the wrong lane and I didn't want that to happen to them. But you call them out, ma'am. You called them out. I'm quite sure that Lisa walked up with great intention and clarity when she walked into that line. Because we know where we're supposed to be, right? If you've reached that level of status, you know exactly where you are supposed to be. You know how the line works. You don't necessarily have to ask the person ahead of you how it works because you already know. You have a confidence in it. And if a person is in the right lane, then they deserve to be there. They earned it. You don't get to question it. What you can do, if you just feel like you have to ask, if you feel like you have to say something, then what you do is you go get an employee and you say, I think that person over there cut in line, and I just cannot let that stand. And then allow the employee to go to that person, because if the employee comes to the person, then that person should say, hey, I'm platinum. But no other passenger owes you anything. You are a passenger. You are not an employee. No one owes you anything. No one owes you an explanation. No one needs to show you their papers, their card, their anything. You are a passenger. You're no better than any other passenger on the ship. And you're obviously not any more knowledgeable. Because now she's lost her diamond privileges as well because of you. And I am telling you, I would not let that stand. I would have fought this tooth and nail to the very end. That judge would have been sick of me. He would have been like, can you just let this go? And I would just be like, the Gen X in me won't allow it. The Libra, y'all, I'm on the scales. I'm always looking for the fair. Even if the fair, I lose with the fair, right? I'm okay with that because it's fair. And this is not fair. In my opinion, it's not fair. So they've been banned. They've lost their privileges. And so I wonder, with cruise companies, are they going to start saying to people, if you harass another customer, if you call another person out for being in the wrong lane, you're not supposed to be right here, you don't, deserve to be right here, whatever it is that you do to other people. The cruise lines have to say, if you harass another customer and you cause them to have a bad trip, you get a fine or you have to get off of this ship. You've got two choices. Mind your business or get off the boat. Leave people alone. But if you really feel like you have to get an employee, do that. But there should be consequences for your actions if you are wrong. And you're more than likely going to be wrong. But when you start something, man, especially when you put your hands on, so keep your hands to yourself. And keep your opinion to yourself. If you don't feel like somebody should be in a space, maybe you should remove yourself. Because Lisa, in my opinion, did nothing wrong. If the film comes out and she was the aggressor, I'll take it all back. I'll issue a public apology quickly, forthwith. But that is not what it looks like to me. That doesn't even look like what it is in the police report, but everybody wants to call it a slap fest. Mutual combat, and it's not that. It was assault, in my honest opinion. And you're not allowed to do it. You have to leave people alone. Get an employee if you need help. And if not, you got to let it go. You have to let it go. You really do. So what do you all think? Does another passenger have the right to confront you, accuse you? Should there be a fine? Should there be consequences? And do you think that both women should have been banned? Let me know in the comments below. That's my time. Thank you all so much for joining. I appreciate the discussion and your time today. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Travel safe. And don't forget, when fun is the destination, the possibilities are endless. Have a good night. Stay safe.